This is feedback for Anwar on her cause and effect practice essay. Few good things, great things that you did. I like your intro. Thank you for perfect formatting, and thank you for being a very good thinker. I think you have some good ideas in this essay. There's a few things that I think you need to clear up, but for the most part, good ideas. So let's get back into it. So again, thank you for this nice formatting. Capital letter, thank you. I like your intro. In modern society, very nice start. Trash, lowercase t. All right, get these spelling correct. And this would be better to use the perfect tense here. Has become one of the most talked, not just talked topics, but talked about topics. With the modern industry, people are introducing introducing more waste than. Remember, when you're comparing things, we don't use the then, but we use the then with the A. For in history, as real many countries are using recycling as a way to combat too much waste. Recycling is to reduce the amount. I like how you give me a definition here, and then you give me a very clear thesis. Very good. The reason why this is highlighted in yellow is because I don't want you to be careful with using stuff that goes into your body in the intro, but because this kind of sounds like a cause, and since your topic is you're looking at the causes, be careful not to put causes into your intro. The idea is clear here, and I think is right. Just don't say that just many countries are considering recycling as an important role in today's society. You don't have to talk about combating waste and stuff like that. Just say, many countries are thinking about it. All right. I like how you give a definition here. Very nice. And then your thesis. This is not your feedback. Sorry. The feedback that I have for your body, accordingly, this is not the best way to start. I would say firstly, as opposed to accordingly. Remember, capital letters, recycling affects the environment. I like that. Make sure you use full stops or periods, not commas. But it's generally, though, a good topic sentence. Recycling affects the environment. I think that's a great topic sentence. So now your paper, the rest of the body paragraph, should explain how that happens. So how does recycling affect the environment? And I like your idea. You're basically saying that, factories, produce waste, but there's no connection made. You're saying that, factories are making waste and they're making pollution for all the animals and everything. And okay, but how is that telling me how recycling affects the environment? You're just telling me about all this is talking about how factories produce waste and they're polluting. And then at the end you say, as a result, we need to make awareness campaign. And again, this is something that I would say, oh no, don't do this. This is advice. This will go into the conclusion, right? Don't put your advice in your body paragraphs. That should go into your conclusion. So what would be better here? I think the ideas are solid though. The environment suffers from many problems. One of them is pollution. I would clarify here and say something like, pollution is becoming from factories. Full stop. They produce many waste. Air is important. And I would say that that's clear enough right there. Factories are producing a lot of waste. So with so many So with so many people on the earth buying products, factories are increasing and the waste is increasing as well. And then I'm going to kind of just throw in a scenario here. If people were to recycle more, then there would be less of a demand for factories, and which would lead to less pollution. Right? Now, there I clearly explain. This is not exactly an example, but sometimes you do have to explain things. And this is a good example of explaining. But how else does recycling affect the environment? I think you could add some more reasons here besides that. I think that one's fine right there, but add some more reasons. So you could say something like, recycling affects the environment by making us making factories use less raw materials. That means make sure you use your transitions. Remember those transitions. What does this mean? This means that, like for example, IKEA, instead of them having to chop down more wood to make more furniture, they could, if people would just give the wood back to IKEA, they wouldn't have to buy so many new trees. They could just use the furniture and just recycle them, right? But think about other ways. How else can recycling affect the environment? It would allow people to have to shop less if they're reusing their old stuff more, just by reusing, a water bottle. They're not driving to the store to buy another one. So that could be another way for us helping the environment. So I think your essay is okay right here. But again, it really needs some more reasons and examples. Also, this is a major thing. Your conclusion, well, what this is not a conclusion. First, you give me this piece of advice. You got to remember, a conclusion paragraph is first reverse thesis, then the summary, then advice, and then prediction. So here, you're just giving me advice. So reverse thesis, you take your thesis and you write it backwards. So human life and the environment are two major causes of recycling, right? That would be the reverse of your thesis. Then you give me that's also the summary too, because you just basically told me the 2 points that you're going to say, because your 1 point was human life and 1 point was environment. So that's both of them right there. And then you give me your advice. I think that campaign advice would be perfect here, right? Campaign advice, you're telling me who, the government, well, you should say, and what should they do. So who and what? Governments should do awareness campaigns. And tell me why. Why should they do awareness campaigns? Because this will allow more people to understand what recycling is, and the environment will become better, and give a prediction. So after the campaign, this would lead to more informed citizens or more knowledgeable citizens about recycling, and would lead to a better environment. So if you want to make those changes, you can. We're going to be doing our real essay this week. So if you want to just leave it like that, you can as well. Good job.